Welcome back, everybody, to Ravenstar Switching Hour. I'm your host, Solaris BlueRaven. I'm here with my excellent guest tonight, Betsey Lewis. And I know we were talking a lot about this current affairs of what's happening here because it's so concerning. And I think that what I don't like, Betsey, is that there's too many bullies here. We've got a lot of bullying happening, and eventually the bully gets its ass kicked. So,
you're so right, and they're so cruel to people. These people that get on there, the trolls that get on there and just terrorize people. They really do. And I think, don't they have a soul? Don't they care? I mean, it hurts when they're so cruel to people. And we know that a lot of teens have committed suicide because of the cruelty and bullying.
Right. Yeah, and actually they think that's the way they're supposed to behave. Well, first of all, they don't have any role models, apparently. And you have to ask yourself, too, I'm kind of curious insofar as some of these bullies that are out there and these little trolls, I'm wondering what their age group is. It seems to me like the biggest problems we have right now with trolls are the people in there, like, I hate to say it, but the younger ones are really just punks. And I could be wrong, but I mean, to me, I'm seeing a lot of them. If you guys are not like that, you better step it up because I don't see you. And it's as simple as that. So
they're young. I agree with you. I think they're young.
Yeah, they're young, they're immature, and they're entity controlled, and most of them they don't have any foundation, whether it's spiritually, mentally, physically. That's why I always push martial arts because it teaches people discipline and courtesy 101. And you can tell people who have been brought up correctly or have had some kind of professional training versus the ones who haven't, because they would never pull stunts like that. People who have had like a martial arts, real solid martial arts background, we don't do stuff like that. But I'll tell you, I'm not a bully, I'm a counterfighter, but I'm not putting up with it. And I don't think the American people should have to be subjected to any more of this abuse because we have been put through psychological abuse, physical abuse, technological abuse. You name it, they're doing it. Chemicals, toxicity.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
The whole works. Yeah. Yeah.
Everything but the kitchen sink, that's pretty pathetic. So, well, I like your vision of the future. I hope that does transpire. I always run the energy for that. And, we want to see somebody in there who's going to respect this land and country once again.
Well, I think things are going to be tough in 2017. I'm not going to say they're going to be great because next year is the Chinese year of the fire rooster. That means volcanic type things. There's going to be the fire, wars. I just see a lot of chaos still. And I think whoever is president, and I hope it is Trump, that, he is going to take charge of what's going on, because there are those elements that want to just destroy our country. I mean, that's going on, and we need someone strong.
Well, we need to repair what the damage has been done. There's so much damage that's been done to this country right now that we're in such a critical mass right now. We've got to do something to clear it out, and the only way to do that is, well, first of all, we really need to immediately relieve him from command right now. That Obama in there, and we need to clear out this place immediately. I don't even know if we can wait until January, to be honest with you, Betsey. I think it's that bad. Another thing I was going to ask you also about Yellowstone. I mean, what's your impression of that? They say it's possibly, obviously they're saying whenever it decides to go, but what's your take on that?
Not in our lifetime. We don't have to worry about Yellowstone. Don't worry, anybody. It's not going to blow. She's not going to blow.
Yeah, a lot of people have been mentioning that over the years, and there's a buildup going on.
That's not what we're going to have to worry about. With any earthquakes, I see the South Pacific. We've got some big ones that are going on down there. And I still think there's going to be a major, major earthquake, at least a 9 coming in that area, and which could also activate California's earthquakes.
Yeah, they were mentioning that. Yeah, they were mentioning that quite a bit, that California was doing some interesting things over there. So is that your impression that there could be some more turbulence over there?
Supposedly, Edgar Cayce said that when Mount Pelee starts erupting, and that's in Martinique, with that volcano starts erupting, then California is going to get the big one. So I've seen that correlation between volcanoes and earthquakes, and it seems that when volcanoes start erupting, then you're going to get a big earthquake somewhere. So watch these volcanoes; they're really interesting.
They are. You know what's really fascinating? Fascinating. I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry about that. One of the most fascinating ones to me was the Santorini. I think that's really interesting. I don't know if you really looked into that or not, but apparently there's still some underwater activity there that could be possibly resurfacing at some point. I thought that was really interesting.
Is that off the coast of Spain?
No, that's Greece.
Greece.
Santorini.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, right.
It's
Yeah.
very, very, I don't know if you've looked into that or not, but that's one of my favorite places, by the way. I have a real strong, I don't know what it is. I just love that area.
Greece. Yeah.
Well, Santorini particularly, I just really resonate with it for some reason or another. So I
Oh,
think,
that's interesting.
yeah, that's pretty
Oh.
neat. But it's, if I could travel the world, I think it's very, I don't know if it's very safe right now to do so, but there's so many spots that are on my bucket list I'd like to go check out.
Oh, I would too. I'm just, fearful of what's going on out there.
Hmm.
It's just too crazy.
I think it's very volatile right now. And I know there are
Yes.
good people out there. There are good listeners. There's good people out there. But really, the good people really do need to
Mhm.
stand up because you can't be coward into this. You just can't. I mean, you're going to wind up
Can't.
just disintegrating if that's the case, in my opinion, anyway. It's going
Yeah.
to get nasty for sure. But I didn't want to digress too much. But I do want to get back to your books and everything. So,
Okay.
so if people do want to purchase your new book, how do they do that? Is that on Amazon? I know you have your own
It is.
publishing company too, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
Okay.
I've kind of slowed down on that, but yeah, I do my own publishing.
I think that's great.
It's Dragonfly Dimensions Publishing.
Nice.
And the new one is Ancient Serpent Gods. It's on Amazon, both Kindle and paperback. So you can buy it there. And I've got all my other books on Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon's pretty easy to deal with for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Until
it
people
is.
steal your book and then they put it on there for $400 and then that becomes a problem. But
I got after them and they'll take that off and they'll
You did.
say, oh, we made a mistake.
yeah, I actually I had that happen to me too, and I went after him too. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had all kinds of books and then suddenly they appear $36, $64, something like that, 100.
Somebody's making some big money off of a $13 book, aren't they? Or whatever it is. I know mine wasn't that expensive, and I was looking on there seeing how much they were charging for. I'm like, this can't even be legal.
Oh.
So it's really strange, but yeah. So of course, yeah, I encourage everybody to pick up your books. I love your books and the way you write. You have a nice style to that. So
Thank
yeah.
you.
So what's your take on Zachariah Sitchin? I'm on the fence with him insofar as his accuracy. But what's your impression of him in general?
I think he had some good points. I think that the Anunnaki might have existed. There seems to be a lot of proof with the Sumerians, and there was even what is her name, Madame Blavatsky. She was
Yeah.
Did I pronounce? I didn't
It's
pronounce.
Blavatsky, isn't it?
Yeah, right. You got it. But she did a lot of research on the texts, ancient texts, and found out a lot of information about the Nagas, I guess it's pronounced, which was a reptilian race, which is interesting, that lived thousands of years ago. So, there's something to that, the reptilians. And I think there's both good and bad reptilians. I don't want to, just like humans, I think there's good and bad grays and reptilians. I think there's many different types of grays that people have described, the robotic ones, the ones that are hybrids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting because, do you think that they were engineered for here, or they're indigenous for this illusion of a planet, or do you think they're originally from someplace else?
I think they're from here.
You do?
I do.
Yeah, I was curious about that.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any connection between that kind of a thing and the supernatural insofar as ghosts or spirits go?
I think they know how to manipulate time and space, and I think they can move into that different area of space that is occupied by what we call ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
It's just on a different vibrational level.
Mm-hmm.
That's what ghosts are. They're vibrating higher than we are. And I think they know how to get in there. I've heard stories, and I've actually read stories of people that have gone over on the other side, had a near-death experience and see their loved ones with aliens.
Mm-hmm. Wow, so, that's really interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, isn't it? Yeah, that's what I thought. How strange.
Yeah, there's more and more people, and what comes to mind also are some of the human abductee cases, which involve reptilian beings too. Mm-hmm. And I know there's quite a bit of my labs, and part of me wonders if that's not a psychotronic program that's hitting them, that they're actually seeing something that was created as a screen program or memory, or something that actually is real time. So who knows? But yeah, it's very, very interesting nonetheless, and that also it makes me wonder about the shape-shifting aspects of, I know a lot of people have talked about people being able to shapeshift into reptilians, and I keep thinking that if people are implanted with any type of technology, they could probably appear to shapeshift. And of course, if you look at the shamans, they can shapeshift as well. So there's a lot of history behind that and mysticism that involves shapeshifting into something else, or giving the appearance of.
Right. Yeah. And it's so interesting that so many of these people that have been abducted feel that they have a mission. They don't know what it is. They feel that, that some of them, women especially, feel that they had a child. They were pregnant and suddenly the fetus is gone. Then years later, they're shown the child, which is a hybrid by the aliens. And I think that's been going on. I think they've been creating hybrids. And it's kind of interesting. I watched this video and I posted it on Facebook. I don't know if you saw it or not, about Lisa. She's French. She speaks only French, but the guy that was with her knows her real well, and he was telling about her. She's a Canadian from Quebec, 6'3", stunning blonde, born in 1975, but her mother had a really weird thing happen when she was 8 months pregnant. She went upstairs. She was kind of tired to just rest for a while, and she felt paralyzed, and she saw these great type beings, and they came through the wall, and these two tiny beings, the big heads and the big eyes, and she kept saying, "Who are you? Leave me alone, go away." She kept telling them, and she heard them in her head telepathically, and one of them said, "She's not ready," and the other one said, "Yes, she is." And she finally convinced them to leave, and they went through the wall. They just disappeared through the wall. And 1 month later, she gave birth. She had been going to her doctor all the time and everything, and he told her that she just had one baby. And so she gave birth to a boy, a perfectly healthy boy. And pretty soon the nurse went screaming for the doctor again. She said, "There's another baby coming." And he said, "That's impossible. There's no other baby." And Lisa was born. So, yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, so that's really strange. But the strange thing about Lisa is that she has had these strange things happen. I guess her mother was visited by a man he looked like a human. He's tall with red hair in a jumpsuit, and he looked like a human. But she's had these dreams of being a reptilian or a lizard, and she is very intuitive. I guess she met this girl from England who speaks English, of course, and Lisa speaks French. And the first time they met, they seemed to be communicating with each other. And the gal, whose name is Sarah, said to her, she said, "You're a hybrid, aren't you?" And she recognized her. And I guess they're both hybrids. But she feels that she has a mission. She doesn't know what it is. And, so many of these people have been told the same thing. I wonder if we're being told the truth. I don't know if you feel that way, do you feel like you have a mission?
My mission, should I accept, is to leave this planet alive.
I'll take that mission too.
Now, it's interesting. I know I was doing really powerful work before I was inducted in 2004. And then that changed my life and my whole direction and course. And it wasn't by fate. I just made the best of a negative circumstance by doing what I'm doing right now. But I would say that I have a sense that, and I think we've touched on this before, that if they have a sense in these underground areas that you have an ability, or you have a gift, or you have something that can change the game, then they'll stop at nothing to go after you. And I had people deliberately do what they did to me. I mean, they wanted to put a stop to what I was doing with the DNA activation and some other things. People don't really know my background, but I have a very extensive background in holistic hearts and etheric light master surgery and a lot of other things that are very, not esoteric, but ancient mystery school. But I'll tell you, when you do accelerate in consciousness and you are beyond the illusion of man and you're able to change things on a timeline through your own psychic ability, which is really powerful, people start to look at you, and you can be either inducted into something or maybe even directed into doing something else. But I think that they try to utilize us as assets or tools, and taking your own power back and doing what's in alignment with spirit in my opinion, is the best way to go.
I think so too.
Yeah.
What's your blood type?
I don't want to tell people on air.
Okay.
It's less than 10% of the population. They've probably heard it before. What?
Do you have O negative?
No.
Okay. Well, Lisa has it, and her mother has it, and her daughter has it. And I guess there's something a little strange with O negative. Universal is O positive, but O negative, I guess if you are, you get pregnant by a man that isn't O negative, I guess you have to get some kind of shot to help you so the baby won't die, which is kind of interesting.
Before. I have heard that before.
Yeah, a lot of people say they're hybrids and they have O negative. I don't. I have O positive, but
so you're a universal donor.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Well, I still think the blood morphs and mutates too, and the DNA, as we know, it activates and alters through frequency and states of consciousness. And we've talked about the junk DNA before, which isn't junk at all. We can actually change our DNA through evolution and consciousness, and of course, that's done through frequency, spiritual work. Those of us who are on that path understand how to do that, but that gives you a whole different arena to work with when you activate on that level of consciousness.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was another thing I should tell you. I guess Lisa's mother, when she had that visitor come to her with the red hair, the alien with red hair, he asked, I guess he spoke to her in French, but he said his name was John. She asked him what his name was. And she was taken to this room, and there were all these vials in the room, and it looked like a pharmacy. And I guess he said that was all the medicine that can cure humanity. But he said, but we can't give it to you because you aren't supposed to be sick. Now, that's kind of a strange thing to say, isn't it? I wonder what that means.
It's very interesting.
Well, you're not supposed to be sick.
Well, that makes sense. I don't believe we are supposed to be sick. That's all manufactured. I mean, illness comes from, we know that miasms are disease-causing factors, but they enter through the energy field. Every illness enters through the aura. Every bit of it. So it doesn't matter how it manifests itself. But I will say it's usually due to man. Everything he's created has created a sickness of some kind.
Yeah.
I mean, we had the Rife frequencies and the Rife medicine, and that was perfect because that was actually, it was healing and curing people. And of course, look what happened there. I always mention the Rife because it's so powerful. But it's all about frequency. It's all about healing through frequency. And if we raised our vibratory rate to the level of frequency we need to be vibrating on permanently, we wouldn't have illnesses at all. We'd basically be completely merged with the bigger multiversal spectrum. So yeah, I mean, it's just such a simple equation, but the pharmaceuticals are here to steal and make everybody sick and give us placebos to supposedly cure something that basically it's not even close to being a cure for anything. It's sickening. And then look at how high the insurance is for people who they can't even afford their medicine.
I just cry when I see these people out there and people are sick now. They really are. They're obese. So many. I here in Idaho, where I live, southwestern Idaho, I would say 80% of the population is overweight, way overweight. And you see all the medicines they have to take. And just think of what we're doing. We're pouring all this stuff into the earth. Our poor earth. I mean, I think about what we've done to our planet, and we have no respect for life and our planet. Our Mother Earth is a sentient being, and we've forgotten that, how beautiful our everything is alive and sentient. Just like the Native Americans, they've always known that everything is alive and has a spirit to it.
Oh, absolutely.
We have to get back to that again. We have to relearn that.
It's really unfortunate because I do see them completely, well, to me, it seems like they've terraformed this world to such an extent that I don't know if there's a return on that. But I do think there's a reset button that needs to happen at some point. And that probably will happen. But I suspect that there will be a natural situation where I think that mankind is going to go, if he doesn't get his act together, I think he's going extinct, to be honest with you, Betsey. I really do. I believe that this is it. If they can't learn to play nice anymore in this sandbox, then I don't know what else to say anymore because I'm out of patience with this illusion, and those of us who are very off-world in consciousness are very just done with it. So, and we have immortality of the soul, so it doesn't matter. Whatever game they're playing here, it's over. We keep going, we keep ascending, we keep moving on. But these guys, no, they're not going anywhere. They've created such havoc here; they have to basically go extinct in it And I don't think they realize those codes. I don't think they realize that, when you get to be insane like they are, they think they're permanently, gods. They think that they have these abilities. They don't have anything. They have the illusion of power, money, wealth, and control and manipulation. They bully with murdering people and harming people, and they don't have anything going for them. And all their patents are stolen from people who are brilliant minds, but they didn't create those patents. You know what always amazes me? I'm wondering to myself, how many things can be replicated that were done by genius minds now? If we were to wipe everything out, where do you think that technology would come from again? Would there be the genius minds again, or would we have a blueprint for it? You have to ask yourself these questions. And, I think that we had a real spark of divine people that were here on the timeline. I don't know where they are now. I don't think there are very many left.
They're not.
Yeah, but you remember
You're
all
right.
like Da Vinci's and the ones that entered on here with these brilliant gifts, Beethoven. I can go on and on about these wonderful people who were here with brilliant minds and abilities, and yet you don't hear or see anything like that now.
No, you don't. You don't. And that's what, I see the dumbing of America, and like you were talking about earlier, schools. I mean, I'm just mortified by what's going on in schools. I have this visualization of what school should be like, the spiritual place where children are taught all the spiritual laws and ancient knowledge, and schools are not square but round, and children are in a round circle, so everyone is equal, and they're taught about music and how healing music is, and colors are healing, and just incredible things. And here, nothing.
Exactly.
They're not taught anything like that. They're just dumbed down.
Right. It's interesting, Betsey, I didn't mean to cut you off, but what you're saying, sure. It's almost like you're representing where you've been in consciousness off-world, because that's how I feel. I feel like I come with a database of off-world information. In other words, that's not how we do things where I come from. That's always my motto. We don't function the way they function here, and it's way beyond this matrix and the suit we walk in. And what you were stating there is really true, because in my opinion, the off-world celestial type species do have schools like that. That's the norm. Mystery school teachings, higher consciousness, phase shifting, all these things that are avatar oriented. That's the real deal. That's the way we were supposed to be rolling on this timeline and on this planet, but they haven't done it. And then instead they wanted to control, manipulate, and destroy that gift, and then imprison everybody, enslave everybody, torture the spirit.
And what they're doing with the food that we eat, I mean, the garbage food that's out there, and the medicines, the pharmaceuticals, it's just bringing our vibrational rate down. And it's bringing the vibrational rate of Earth down. It's lowering the vibrations. And when your vibrations get so low, you die.
Oh, absolutely. It causes illness. Basically, if
Sure.
you're not vibrating at the higher dimensional frequencies you're supposed to as a multidimensional being, because we are supposed to be synced up with the cosmos. Yeah, of course that's going to happen. We're going to have all sorts of illnesses and things happening to us. And like I said, the diet that people have here today in America, especially because of the GMOs, and there's no nutrients in those, they're just getting sick. I mean, people are not getting the nutrients that they need. You'd be better off chewing on photons or something, or sucking in photons. I mean, seriously, I don't know how they're getting nutrients.
I don't either. I was thinking about what Betty, Andres, and Luca, who's a very famous ET abductee or experiencer that Raymond Fowler wrote about in The Watchers 1 and 2. But she said that she was told by the aliens that we're going to become sterile. Humans will become sterile. That's why they're making the hybrids. They're making the new race.
Well, it's really interesting. And what I always say is it's a Frankenstein experiment, because if mankind's behind that modification, it's not going to go anywhere. If off-world species is, then that's a different scenario, because they're enlightened and they're advanced in consciousness. I'm not saying every one of them, but I would say the majority of the galactic network are very ascended, and to a point where they don't have conflict and wars the way they do here. And these crazy spiked up, look at the way people are behaving. I mean, I don't have to point it out to anybody. It looks like something out of Planet of the Apes. My God. I turn on these riots and I'm like, are you kidding me? I saw this in Planet of the Apes. What the hell's going on here? I mean, just a subhuman violence. I can't stand it. There's nothing cool or powerful about being like that. I'll tell you what, guys, that is just the most low, disgusting behavior you can possibly witness. It's sickening to me. And the more I look at stuff on the internet, you see these behavioral patterns and these sociopathic imbeciles. They don't have anything to contribute or bring to the plate evolution-wise or intelligence-wise. They just want to sit there and destroy and be lewd and crude and disgusting. And I'm sick of it. Quite honestly, I'm just sick of it. So...
I said that on YouTube. I got a little angry with some of these people with their stupid remarks. And I just said, where are your souls? I said, you're supposed to be the hope for this planet. What happened to you?
Exactly.
What's going on? I just don't understand it. And I feel so lost in this world sometimes. I really do.
Well, you're a teacher. You're a teacher's teacher like I am. You're what I call one of the elders, not as an old, but I'm saying as an elder, knowledge, wisdom, enlightenment. And that's really big because right now they need role models. Unfortunately, they're not going to listen. We can have time capsules, we can have books, we can have radio shows like this. We can put the information out there and it can permeate through the dimensions and the ones that want to receive the information will get it. But I'll tell you what, Betsey, these people can't even read, let alone look at anything else. And they can't have a coherent conversation from what I've seen. So it's almost like, I don't know, there's a real disconnect beyond disconnect. It's almost like a brain virus. And there's definitely something wrong. Definitely something wrong. You could say they don't have a connection to source or spirit, or maybe they don't have a soul or spirit. I don't know. It's possible they're just entities. They're probably taken over by disembodied entities that don't have any essence of
maybe they are. They're zombies.
Yeah. And then they even talk about the zombie race, the modified. They're so modified. They're so not connected to spirit or soul. Well, let me ask you this. If you were a soul, would you want to incarnate in one of their bodies and behave like them? No way.
No.
I wouldn't pick that body to encompass while I was on the timeline.
Yeah.
So they're probably entities. I'm just assessing from an observational viewpoint, but it's probably true. And, you hear what they say and watch what they do, but most definitely look at their actions. If they act like violent subhumans 24 hours a day and all they want to do is kill, rape, molest, assault, harm, murder, attack people, attack, don't blame it on your environment or your circumstances. You can get yourselves out of the well. You have to try and you have to learn and you have to step up. And that's what they don't want to. They want everybody to pull them out so they can beat them up. So...
There are some of the new children that have come in and they're telepathic. They remember past lives and everything, but I'm afraid they're going to be ruined by what's going on in our world right now. And they don't have anyone to teach them. Their parents don't understand that they're telepathic. They don't understand that they're remembering past lives and they see ghosts and they just don't have parents that understand that. I feel lucky because I had a mother that was totally into that.
Me too. Yeah, I came from a very esoteric family. Yeah, my mother was into, she was reading tea leaves and doing the cards and all that. And,
awesome.
So I grew up in a very esoteric house, but very spiritual house. And we had morals. We had, we had boundaries. We didn't get away with murder and the illusion of, it's amazing how things have changed. But I'm so grateful that we talked about this before, but I'm really grateful that we allowed ourselves to enter on that world in timeline so that we were able to experience everything before the cell phones, the computers, the BS. We could fly our kites without drones, giving us a hard time. So there's some things that have changed drastically here. And it's really a shame because that nostalgic essence of America, I miss that.
I do too. I was talking to my husband about it and we were talking about when we were growing up and I knew my neighbors. I mean, I don't know my neighbors here. Nobody wants to talk to anybody else. Some of them won't even say hello to you when you pass by. They're really so paranoid. I don't know. But they just don't want to speak to you. And I thought, what happened? We knew our neighbors when I was growing up. People would share things. It was great. And
you have to worry around Halloween. I mean, you could go to wherever street till midnight. Nobody would be bothering you. Once in a blue moon, you'd see some crazy daisy. But most of the time, you think about it, we really lived in a very safe world for the most part. And if there was violence and evil, we really didn't see it. It wasn't around.
We didn't. No.
But nowadays, I wouldn't trust my kid walking 2 blocks.
No.
By themselves,
Yeah. Or slumber parties. I remember sleeping outside and, just great things. Our parents would say, go do things. And we'd be hiking all over the place and in the canyons and nobody worried about us.
Yep. I used to take off on my bicycle and I'd get back at dusk,
Yeah.
And I didn't think twice about somebody trying to grab me or pick me up. I mean, that's just things not that it couldn't have happened, but it just wasn't, it was a better world.
It was. It really was.
And
it was a simpler world.
It was, but not simple as in not educated. It seemed like people, their radar was more in tune. I know we've touched on how when you're psychic enough, you pick on people's vibrations before they call you, or that they're going to call you. I remember that all the time.
Yeah.
No, but how does that happen with the cell phones now? I mean, what kind of interference is
Can't do
going
it.
on? Yeah,
I know. Yeah, I did it all the time. Or I could actually concentrate on someone and have them call at a
right,
certain time.
exactly. Yeah, I remember that too. And people used to say, "Are
Yeah.
you must be a little witch?" Of
Yeah.
course, little did they know. But anyways, but yeah, it is interesting because you get those premonitions going, and it's really a wonderful thing. But nowadays, there's too much interference, and there's a lot of other things happening with these modulating waves. Unfortunately,
Right.
changed so
Right.
much. Well, like I said, I appreciate the work that you do because you have left a benchmark of beautiful data for anybody who's wanting to grow or evolve or learn, and that's very big.
Thank you. Thank you. I
Yeah,
really appreciate that. In my Earth Energy book, I write about getting back to nature and just reconnecting with Mother Earth and how the Native Americans and the indigenous people have taught us different things. And I noticed that someone made a review on my book and they said, she wants us to go back to the cave days. I never said
love
that.
it. Yeah, what kind of IQ did that person have?
I know. I thought,
Probably didn't even read your book anyway.
probably not.
No,
And I thought, no, I didn't say that. I said that we need to get back to a simpler life, and meaning that we need to get back to nature, and we don't need all these cell phones and all this electrical stuff. I mean, we have to rely on it now, but I think we could do without it.
absolutely.
We'd be so much better off.
I
We
totally
did it
agree.
before. We didn't have it when I was growing up. We didn't have computers. We didn't have cell phones.
I had a typewriter. I loved my typewriter.
Yeah.
So I used to
Yeah.
write all my poetry when I was very young. I mean, I was always writing, typing.
Yeah.
Or remember the old-fashioned piece of paper, right? And
Yeah.
writing in cursive and just the
Yeah.
little things, right? Yeah, wow, you actually write on a piece of paper. If you want anything secure, keep it on a typewriter. Don't put it on a computer. My goodness.
I guess a lot of kids don't even know cursive anymore. They're
No, they're not
being
even.
taught it.
Not,
Yeah.
no, they're not being taught anything. Like they're not being
Yeah.
taught music or I don't know what they're being taught, quite honestly. But what that stupid Common Core crap that's basically going to make them into I don't know what vegetables. So once again, anything to
Is
dumb
that
down.
the math? Is that the new
That's the
math?
one that looks absolutely, yeah. It's like, what the hell are they trying to say? 1 + 1 = what? It's just ridiculous. Some of the stuff
Yeah.
that they're doing is deliberately trying to dumb down somebody. It's making them draw out something that really you could simplify in 2 seconds. It's making their brains work slower. Is what they're trying to do is entrain their brains to work slower and dumb them down. And if they're not going to nail them through the vaccines, they're going to get them through bad diet. They
Yeah.
get them one way or another. And then they're going to get it
Right.
with the false entrainment programming and saying, oh, it's okay to comply with evil. It's really good. Really, it is. And, I'm sorry, but this has got to stop. This brainwashing. And they're doing it because they can, because nobody's putting a stop to them. Because
No.
they figure they can just taunt and taunt and taunt. And like I said before, the bully always gets his butt kicked. So be careful how far you taunt, buddies. Because I'll tell you right now, man, the gloves are off. They really
Oh,
are.
yeah. What scares me about youth getting into satanic things? I am reading more and more about all this stuff going on
Hmm.
around the world, not just here in the US, but worldwide, getting into all this satanic stuff. They don't know what they're getting into.
They don't know what
And
they're doing. Yeah.
yeah,
Problem.
there are evil things out there. Believe it.
Oh, yeah.
Believe it.
Well, look at it this way. If there's an evil person on this illusion of a planet and they died, where do you think they're going to go? Do you think they're going to go to special heaven or a special hell?
No.
Chances are they're going to be earthbound and they're going to be probably lost as disembodied spirits, not even ghosts. Probably to want to take over a host that's vulnerable, a host that's maybe playing with a Ouija board or they're doing something where they're open. And I'm not saying I've done Ouija boards before, but you understand how to work with them. But I'll tell you point blank, but man, these people, these are kids. These are kids that don't have any chakras open. They don't have any state of consciousness. They don't understand the path of the mystic, but they want to sit there and dabble in mysticism. It isn't going to happen. And yeah, they're going to attract some entities because
No.
depending on their evolution and their psyche is what they'll bring in. And I can guarantee you they're not ascended masters. So yeah, it is a problem. It is a problem.
It
And
is.
another thing I look at, Betsy, is these ghost hunter folks that run around chasing apparitions. I'm
Oh,
like, you know what? You know how many people die in an emergency ward a day? And then you don't see them running over there with their EVPs, do you? But I'm thinking
no.
to myself, what is the big excitement about this? And I'm sorry, you guys, but I understand spirits and ghosts. And
Yeah.
I've had my own encounters in the illusion of. But I'll tell you, what's the big deal, really? I mean, is it sensationalism? Because look at this whole world as a graveyard right now. We've got battles and wars. People are being murdered every day. What's so amusing?
Yeah.
That's what I really want
Right.
to know.
Right.
So it's just like after a while, it becomes ridiculous. And you have to set your priorities. All these people are just doing hobbies and this and that, and I get it. But we're in critical times right now where we don't need any more of this craziness going on. And I'll tell you right now, there's so many levels to the junkyard of the astral plane, which I'm sure you're familiar with.
Oh,
you don't know how to navigate out of that thing. It's a well to nowhere. It's like a vortex with a bunch of disembodied evil entities just dragging you down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they can attach themselves
Absolutely,
to you.
And that's why there's creative entities and other things that people do. I mean, that's why spiritual lifestyle and spiritual practices are so important, even though some people want to poo-hoo it. I mean, whatever prayer you use and affirmation, it's very important.
Yeah. Possession really does happen out there.
Seems like it happens more and more. And then, of course, the electronic possession, too, which most people, I touch on it on my show a lot because it's a hijacking of, it looks like a regular possession, but it's actually done through artificial intelligence, and it's a literal, it's a hijacking. It's a brain hack, and it's a takeover. It shows, and it looks exactly like a regular possession. And I've always said to myself, because of the corruption over there in that nice little Vatican, I always thought to myself, that would be the biggest moneymaker in the world if they were deploying this crap to give an electronic possession onto a target and then say, oh, we'll come and exorcise you. Oh, it's okay. And then they'll get it done because they're the ones deploying it. I know I have a very detective-like brain because that's just the way I think, especially after I've been with the technology I know. So, but I'll tell you, if they don't know about that technology, then they're part of the problem and not the solution.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah.
And I want to tell people out there that if people that are into a lot of alcohol and a lot of drugs, you've probably seen their personalities change. And a lot of that is possession. Mm-hmm. You're just opening yourself up to these lower entities.
Takeover.
And they're ready to jump in your body.
Oh, yeah. It is interesting. Well, it puts holes in the aura. Drugs, over-medicating will put holes in the aura and the energy field, and alcohol, too. I mean, if people really, it's just not good for you all in all. I mean, I understand celebration now and then, but you're right. Yeah, when they get taken over, I've seen people taken over. You can watch their eyes and see them shift, or sometimes it's like a personality comes through, and then you can say, well, maybe they're schizophrenic. No, this is probably an entity takeover.
Right.
So, yeah. And of course, in situations like that, I would say, what would you do to rectify it?
What would I do?
Yeah, what would you do if you see somebody being taken over like that? What is your first?
Well, I knew someone like that, and it was pretty scary. There are some people that need help and won't get help, and you just walk away from them quick. You run. Mm-hmm. I thought I could help this person, and there was just no way. I almost died.
Wow.
I almost was choked to death one night.
Oh, my goodness.
Person. Yeah, that's how scary. This person would be very nice, and everybody thought this person was just a great person. But drinking, this person became Jekyll and Hyde. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've never seen a personality change so quickly. It was scary, but yeah.
Yeah, those are like the inner demons that people have. I mean, they've got to learn to deal with those. I'd say the best way to deal with that would be to basically get help in any way you can. And also, you don't have to be religious, because I'm spiritual. I'm beyond the illusion of religion. Religion to me is just a control mechanism. But I do see that it is important to be in alignment with what we call spirit and source and the full light universe. When I say full light, that which is complete in consciousness, which means there's no contamination, there's no evil. That's important. That's really big. And, I get fired up and I get ticks because I'm angry at what's happening here in this illusion, and it shouldn't be going down. And we shouldn't have people in the illusion of power destroying our nation and land, and the violence shouldn't be happening. I mean, I can go from A to Z, and we have people in the Vatican perpetuating more problems than very little solutions.
Oh, they're so corrupt. They're so corrupt, aren't they?
It makes me sick there. Well, like I said, I have my beefs with them because they're a hive. I always say about the hives, I talk about these hive entities that need to be kind of abolished, but the hives are everywhere, and that's a big hive over there. So, it's very concerning to me that people have been swept away and being controlled all these years, but it is mind control. It's entrainment programming. It's afraid to step out, or maybe it's afraid of what people might think of them if they do, You have to not care what people think about you. You have to just stand up for what's right.
Yeah. And the Vatican and the Catholic Church, they hide behind abusing children. Mm-hmm. And still, it hasn't come out. And this Pope, Francis, has not done anything about it. I mean, it's so corrupt over there. And
he's crazy.
I know.
I mean, he's already promoting the Islamic extremist agenda. I mean, he's nuts. The guy's absolutely freaking insane.
Yeah,
It's
he's part of
basically
it all.
whatever's popular, whatever God is popular, we'll push it now because it's all about control, manipulation, and counting their money. And like I've said before, it's not about the people that go to these churches. I know they have good hearts and souls and spirits. I'm talking about the sons of bitches that are running these illusion of control mechanisms called churches and corporate, which is really a corporation, and it really has no embodiment as anything holy or sacred. It's a corporation, and people need to acknowledge it. Just like Islam is an ideology, it has nothing to do with spirituality and consciousness. It has nothing to do with anything but control, manipulation, harming, and for what I've seen, sexual abuse, pedophilia, and mutilation of women. You ain't pushing your Sharia shit over here, buddies. I have news for you. You're going to run into a big battle. We ain't playing your card. I'm sorry, I'm swearing, but it's just.
I know.
There's only one.
I know.
It's not the F-bomb, so that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. People wake up out there, It's
they really need to wake up and smell the coffee and stop getting misled by mainstream media because they're telling you lies. And I don't know I don't know how they sleep at night. And I do know when they croak in the illusion of death, they're not going to be real happy about where they're heading. So there are places worse than hell, if you can imagine that.
So. Well, they're so afraid of losing their jobs, ratings and everything. I know. I worked for a television station in LA. I know what it's like. And, everybody playing their little games and
the censorship. It's really amazing because I never thought about any of this stuff. I guess I was busy working and just having a life. I never realized that they were really deceiving, but I never really watched a lot of television like that anyway, the news or anything. I used to read the newspaper and maybe do a crossword puzzle or something. I just never paid attention, but I didn't realize now with the propaganda though, boy, they're just really out of control.
Yeah. I worked at CBS and I worked for the Disney studios, and I saw the politics going on there, and the way they treated women there. You just couldn't get ahead at Disney. The way they treated, I think
they're still kind of warped and distorted from what I understand. They seem to be kind of screwy, and also very MK Ultra related to some degree. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me, and that's what I mean too. Women have come such a long way. And we don't need to go back into the dark ages for some subhumans from the Middle East. And I think that's the biggest problem I'm seeing right now. It's like it'd be a cold day in hell, or heaven or anything in between. I'm not playing their cards. And I'm very fierce right now. I'm like that Valkyrie, man. I just can't seem to shake off that skin when I'm wearing that armor really strong these days. I guess it's because I have to,
Yeah, you do. You do. Another thing that bothers me, women like you who are getting this stuff out, you're just not, you don't see women like you on TV on these documentaries. It's the good old boys, right?
Hell no. Oh, yeah. Are you kidding me? I'm too controversial. I speak the truth. They don't want me around. Yeah.
I know. How many women are out there actually Linda Moulton Howe has been around, but she's basically the only one. And, all these ancient alien documentaries, it's all guys. It's all guys.
Most of them are just regurgitating information from other people and other investigators. Researchers. That's what cracks me up, but they get the big bucks, boy. They'll go out there. Same thing with the UFO. They go out there to these conventions, and it's always the same old talking heads. Where's the real people? Where are the real people who have the experience and the technology behind their belt? Bring something to the plate. I don't know why people pay for those things, but I have a real background, and they never once asked me to talk at those places. And it's their loss, but it's funny because you can see where it starts and where it ends, because it's usually watered down data that's all BS, and some of it you can digest, and a lot of it's just a bunch of filler. And yet people suck it up because they want some place where they can resonate. It's really unfortunate. I just see too much crap going on here, and it is very I don't know how you would say it, discriminatory, I guess is the word.
It is. Yeah. It is, exactly.
It is, and I've noticed that too, and that's why I mean by being strong and being a female, be proud of your strength. I never had a problem when I was teaching martial arts, and I'm a second-degree black belt. I didn't have other martial arts males being arrogant to me or rude or egotistical. We all were equals in the dojo. I'm not saying it didn't happen here and there, but I don't understand the behavior of that crap where people seem to think that this sex is better than that sex. I don't get it, and I'm not putting up with it. So, I don't, like I said, the dark age mentality, there's no place for it in any timeline, It should have never existed to begin with.
I think it's time the feminine comes back, that the goddess energy comes back, because there's just too much male testosterone out there right now, and that's what's wrong with our planet right now.
Oh yeah, they're all having to dominate, treat everybody
Mhm.
like crap. And I don't know what's going on. I think you're right. I think there's some real male ego going on there for sure.
There
But
is.
it's
I love men, but but I think there is too much right now with the earth. That's what I mean about out of balance.
look what
There
they're
just
doing.
isn't a
Look at the
balance.
violence. I mean, look at the
Yeah,
Middle East in general. Just go ahead
yeah,
and grid that off for a minute. And
yeah.
it's just completely disgusting.
And look at the
Don't
women over there in the third world countries and how they've been controlled and just
yeah,
dominated.
have no spirit. They've been broken.
They
I don't
they
even
have
know if they
no
have a
life.
soul anymore.
Yeah.
What's gone on with them is beyond belief. It's basically abuse and torture, and they're conditioned
Mhm,
and trained into it, and they think it's okay because it's like somebody who's addicted to their abusive husband. They think it's okay and acceptable because
mhm.
that's all they know. Shame on them.
Right.
I'm sorry, but I can't put up with that crap. And man, yeah, this is America. You people better frickin' step up and understand this is America, and we don't put up with that crap over here. So if anybody's trying to push it in DC, you better stand down. You're gonna get fired.
I love that little girl that survived that shooting. They shot her in the head. She wanted to go to school
Hmm?
somewhere in the Mideast. I can't think of
Yeah,
her
I
name. It
remember.
starts with an M, yeah. And now she's in England, and she has written a book. She's done so well, and she's such an amazing young woman
You
that
know what's
is
interesting?
just,
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off, Betsy. I'm
No, go
sorry. I keep
ahead.
doing that
No,
because
no, no.
but
Go
what's
ahead.
interesting is that why is it if they were going to bring over any type of quote unquote refugees, why didn't they just take the women and say, screw you men, you're a bunch of savage pigs. Let you go fight your own battles over there, but just take the females and let them get an education.
Yeah,
That's what I would have done.
be something. Yeah.
I mean, if they were willing, if they're terrorists, forget it. They can go back to their burqa bitch world. But I'll tell you point blank, seriously, if they really wanted to learn and break away from these evil men who were wanting to mutilate them, harm them, control them, assault them, get them the hell out of there. Get the females
Hmm.
out. Leave the men, and just
Yeah.
let the men fight the freaking battle. What's the
Yeah.
problem? That's what I would
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that's how you deal with stuff. You
Mhm.
gotta cut this stuff down to a very very easy equation. So
Yeah.
I know we were talking about a lot of different things tonight, but it probably is one of those nights where we probably needed to run energy for stuff. And you're a great woman to talk to about a lot of
Thank
this.
you.
And plus, you're very wise. And we did cover your book to some degree. But I
We
know
do.
you'll come back in January too. You're going to be on my hyperspace show.
Yes, yes, and we'll get more into it. Yeah, I look forward to it. I love your show.
I love you. I love
So
having
much
you on.
fun.
You're just,
Oh, thank
you're like
you.
my star sister. I told you that before.
Well, there's so much more to the serpent energy and serpent background and everything. Even ley lines, I guess, are
Hmm?
known as dragon lines over in Far East in China, and dragon lines and serpent lines. So, there's just so much in there that we didn't get to cover. But I read the book.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And
Tell
some other
everybody
books too.
get the book. You'll be shocked at all the different things that about serpents and how they are part of our lineage. I think they're a part of our lineage.
Absolutely. I've always liked dragons. I've always been attracted to dragons anyway.
Me too. I've been watching the Merlin series. I just love that. Anything about that time period and
Hmm?
Arthur and Merlin and dragons and
I haven't watched. Well, I don't watch television, but I remember the original Excalibur. I always quote. I love the original one. It was done back in the '80s or so. I can.
yeah,
It might have been earlier, but yeah, that was great with Merlin. Yeah.
yeah,
What has he
yeah,
said is the doom of men that they forget?
yeah, yeah,
Very true, isn't it? Isn't it amazing? You can have so many lifetimes on and off planet, but if you don't bring the data with you, what is life worth? What is life worth at that point? If
yeah,
you can't bring something here, if you can't contribute something and bring it to the plate, if you can't teach something or bring some enlightenment to the world, what good are you? That's
yeah,
my point.
right. Yeah,
Instead they
yeah,
want to bring
absolutely.
evil, and we don't have to learn abuse and evil. We don't have to live like this. We don't have to learn the violence.
Mhm.
It's not acceptable. It shouldn't be happening. And yet nobody created those boundaries and told people like this is not acceptable behavior.
Right,
So, yeah.
right.
Well, there's so much that needs to change there. But Betsy, just having you on the planet and the illusion of is a comfort to many, I'm sure.
Oh, well, I hope so. I don't
Yes.
want to sound like gloom and doom, but we have to change things. It's up to us. And if we continue to take all this garbage, it's going to be the same old, and
Yeah.
things are going to get worse for us.
It's how
They're
you
not going to get better.
I agree. It's how you program the computer, and
Mhm.
right now the
Mhm.
mainframe is going down. It's getting warped. I mean, there's just too much crap.
It
It's
is.
garbage in, garbage out. I'm sick of it. I feel so toxic. I was telling somebody earlier. I feel like I need to bury my head in a crystalline chamber for like century after century, and just kind of clear out all this debris from this one lifetime because it's been
Mhm.
so contaminated. And we don't want to be negative either, but we do have to address these issues because you can't pretend they don't exist. And that's a big thing, because you look around your surroundings, your perimeters. We've got natural catastrophe, yeah. We've got other things happening, but what's interesting is that there's so much here that could go bad so quickly. Within 24 hours, it could all change overnight. I don't know if you know this or not, but they're thinking about actually delegating our internet at the end of the month, I believe, to now that's serious, because that means Revolution Radio can go bye-bye. That means that we're out here being strong voices. We will be no more, because if they have their way, exactly. And this is a big deal. So I suggest people start paying attention. Go ahead.
Yeah, they're going to shut us up. They are.
Well, you know what? The truth hurts, and the only way they can destroy the truth is to try to shut it up, censor it, murder it, shove it under the carpet.
Right. Yeah, they will. They'll try.
Yeah, well, every tactic they use is basically they're just confirming what they're up to. They're just confirming their subhuman control mechanisms. And I'm sorry, but we are free beings, and we will continue to be free beings, come hell or high water, anything in between. It's going to happen. So, as I said before, it probably is going to be more than a civil war. I see a global revolution happening. Global. I really do. I think everybody has had enough. I've never seen so many people so pissed off right now. And you've got people who are really professionals who are pissed. They're just boiling under their skin. Yeah. They're pissed. They're patient. They're kind. They're nice. They're compassionate. They're generous. They're getting screwed every day, and they're sick of it.
Yeah, there is a war coming. It's against the dark and the light. It really is.
Mm-hmm. Well, you can certainly tell, like I said before, you're going to find that, and I've said this on my show, you're going to find that those who are connected to light design work, let's put the full light universe, I don't care what religion you are, you're going to find that you'll unify against these evil entities. You will find that will happen, and you'll put your religions and race aside to do that. I will guarantee that's going to happen. Yeah, they're going to have to fight, side by side. But I know who the enemy is, and I'm sure everybody else does too. And I've said it before. We know who our enemies are.
Right.
So they're showing themselves. They're showing their fangs, and they're not hiding anything. So neither are we. So we're just here. We're not going to be taking any more. That's for darn sure. But let me tell you something. I know you do sessions on people also, right?
Since I had my surgery, I haven't. I had some major surgery in May, and I just kind of decided to put it off for a little while. So I haven't been doing any readings. Yeah.
How are you feeling?
Great.
Good,
great. So no, everything's good. Yeah.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear that. That's wonderful. Yeah. But they can still access your website.
They can. Yeah. Right. I've got my predictions on there. I'm going to start working on 2017 predictions. And I've got my Earth News 1 on my website, which I post every day. Conspiracy theories, what's going on with the sun and earthquakes. If I get any premonitions about earthquakes, and I get that a lot with earth changes. So be sure and check it out. I post things on there sometimes several times a day if there's something really big going on.
I think that's really important that you're tracking those. And I know you've always been spot on. One thing I'll always say about Betsey, you're spot on about your predictions with that earthquake. That's amazing.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. I've always had that. I don't know what it is, some kind of relationship with the earth. So
that's good. She's telling you. And also it's really good because then you'll know if you need to get out of the way insofar as safe zones to be. I don't even know if there's a real safe zone here in the United States anymore. I used to think there were pockets and sanctuaries. I'm beginning to think that there really is no real safe place to be.
I think you're right. Look at the earthquakes in Arizona and places in Texas and places that have never had earthquakes in Oklahoma and Kansas because of all the fracking. And it's just crazy. Yeah, places that usually don't get them are getting them now. So, what we're doing to Mother Earth is just unconscionable. It really is.
Yeah, I think they're going to regret it.
We are. Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, I was still asking myself. I guess my ship crashed. Honestly, I don't know. I wouldn't have willingly come to this world. I'm like, yeah, man, I'm never coming back. If I ever see anything that looks like Earth, pass on by. I don't care if it's a double, a twin. I don't care.
My mom always said that. I'm not coming back. No, I'm never coming back here.
I'm beginning to call it a terraformed rock, and that's getting dangerous because that's the way I'm starting to see it because it is being terraformed to such an extent. But there is a big multiverse out there. There's a big universe out there, and we're not alone, as you know. We're all interweaved and interconnected in that, and I think it's about really understanding that galactic neighborhood because once we understand that, and that's what I like about your books, you're cueing people to something that may sound really out there, but at the same time, it's really a benchmark of where and what kind of species were here before we showed up on the timeline. So,
Exactly.
and you don't know people. I mean, your history has been lied. We already know that there were giants. We already know that that's been obfuscated by Smithsonian and many other areas. So, the giants were here earlier on in America.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot of things, and you have to ask yourself these questions. Why is it being hidden from you? First of all, if there's a need to hide it, there's a need. Then that tells you right there that there's something wrong.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, there is something wrong. What are they hiding? Is it right here under our feet?
In the sight, yeah. And it's interesting because when I was a youngin, I guess, I don't know if you ever did this, but when I saw like mounds, like mounds in the mountains and things like that, I'd always think about giants living under there. And I don't know why I ever thought that, but it's interesting. And then later on, I hear this now when I'm, looking into giants, and I'm like, wow, that's what I used to think when I was a kid. But, when you're a kid, you have an imagination, and, you see things out of nothing, I mean, I'm saying spirits, but other things that you see differently, right?
Well, there's a lot of people that believe that the Earth is hollow. And Admiral Byrd, who took trips to the North and South Pole started in the 1920s through the 1940s, he claimed he found this other land that had green grass and mountains and lakes and mammoths, extinct mammoths there. So maybe there is something to it.
I think there's a lot to this world and more than people realize, but I also believe it's more than holographic, and that we have an overlay of multiple dimensions, so that depending on frequency, you can actually access through like almost a portal to another dimension and raise your vibratory rate and go to another world. I really believe that does happen. And that's why I don't discount some of these disappearances. Some could be murders and things, but some people could actually just have stepped off.
Gone into another, and maybe into the past. People have had visions where they're actually transported to another time and place, and they're watching people from the 1800s, and suddenly they're right back into the present day. So I believe that's possible. We can jump into the future, into the past.
Right. It's just like it reminds me of Star Trek, but it is like the transporter, because that's about really modulating the frequency, and that's what they're doing. They're not even scrambling, they're modulating and altering the body to a point where it can actually phase shift into another location.
Yeah.
I mean, if they think about it, it can be done, and it's been done. So very interesting. And anyways, it's been a pleasure to have you on tonight, Betsey. I love having you on. I love talking to you. I think you're wonderful and enlightened, and I love your work.
Oh, thank you. Well, ditto. Back to you, too.
Well, thank you.
Solaris, you're awesome.
Thank you. I know I've been talking an awful lot tonight. I don't know, I'm really full speed ahead, but thank you for bearing with me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I enjoy your show so much, and I can't wait until January. It seems like, it's been a while since we talked, but this is great, and I'm glad we could do it tonight.
Me too. And thank you, Betsey, and thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks, and please stay tuned for Shiny Side Out with David Dungy and Becky coming up next to sell you on tonight from Down Under, as they always do with their excellent show. All right, everybody, have a great week, and thanks for tuning in.